CRX 2024. My name's Travis, also known as Sensorium. Very happy to be here today. Big shout out to Jim Drew and Sajtron for having me. Really appreciate this opportunity to show everybody what the TeensyROM is capable of. So without further ado, let's jump right in and take a look. Thought we'd start things off today by showing you what the TeensyROM looks like and some of its connections to the outside world. We'll start down here at the bottom. You probably recognize this connector. It goes into the expansion port of your C64 or 128. Moving up to the left here, USB device port to connect from a modern computer to transfer MIDI or ACID information. Upper left here is a RJ45 connector for your web surfing or BBS browsing needs. And then something fairly unique here is a USB host port where you can connect a MIDI controller, NFC reader, which we'll get into more later, USB thumb drive, or you can connect them all at once via USB hub. Got one button on the TeensyROM, and that's to return to the main menu at any time by hitting that. And then an SD card port where you can load it up with games, SID files, pictures, anything you like. Next we're going to talk about what kind of files you can load and where you can load them from. There's three basic sources of files you can load from with the TeensyROM. First is microSD, which is pretty common for these types of devices. Next is a USB thumb drive. Everybody's got a few of those laying around. And last but not least is the Teensy Flash itself. The firmware has compiled in more than 70 programs and other files for your use, so you don't actually have to have any other cards to get started using the TeensyROM. I'm going to stroll over here to demo some of the loading techniques. First is ROM emulation, which of course doesn't actually load any data into the RAM of the C64 itself. It emulates a ROM or a cartridge outside as if you plugged it into the back yourself. This was made even faster than a regular cartridge with the use of some special sauce from StatMat of OneLoad64 fame. I should mention that OneLoad64 is the perfect companion to the TeensyROM. It was designed for these types of carts and has over 2,000 games included with it, so I always highly recommend that. So let's try a couple out here. Don't know if you caught that. Basically hit return and it started running, so I'll show you one more time. Just that fast. And then I hit the button to go back to the main menu. Let's try another one here. It's Jupiter Lander. So moving on from there, we can also load program files or P00 files, which are pretty similar. And those, of course, do load directly into RAM, so there is a transfer taking place for those. So I like to show Super Mario Brothers because it's 48K in size, which is 3/4 of the total amount of RAM in the 64. It would take several minutes, of course, to load off of over the IEC bus or the floppy bus. So let's do this. 1, 2, and it's running. So about 2 seconds to transfer all that data. It actually takes a little more time to decompress itself and from loaded than it does to actually transfer the data to the memory. So start running here. Again, decompression time takes longer than the actual load. Get the idea? Okay, next I wanted to show you a SID file loader. SID files take some space depending on how big they are, so let's load one of those up. Oh, Beatles are always good. So the nice thing about the SIDs is they keep playing in the background as you peruse the different menus here, so we can still move around if you can hear me over when I'm 64. So you can see I hit return, it loads up and starts playing pretty much immediately. Let's see, F4 to turn things off, and we'll go up here and look at some pictures. So each of these are about 2 to 4K in size. We can scroll through these all pretty quickly. Get the idea. There's a great utility online called RetroPixels that will pretty instantly convert from JPEG or any modern format into the format needed to view on the C64. And I also wanted to show you D64 file loads. Same thing, single load from inside of a D64, but to a drawing program. Back to the main menu. Alrighty. Now I'd like to show you the NFC launch system for the TeensyROM. It combines the physicality of plugging a cartridge into the back of your 64, only it's even faster than that, and you don't have to power off your C64 in between cartridges. This was designed using these low-cost NFC reader tags that are available from lots of different locations. They're also available in stickers and other formats that make it fun to play with. This novel approach was developed by the TapTo team for the Mister originally, and we cross-support the same kind of reader tags and formatting between the two systems. For the 64, it was a collaborative development with StatMat of OneLoad64 fame. He saw the TapTo in action with the Mister and brought it to my attention and added his special fast load sauce, and we worked together and got it going. The tag actually contains a path to the any of the three sources we talked about in the previous slides, and any of the type of files that are supported, from a program to a cartridge to a SID file to a picture. So I'm going to go through a few of these just to show you how fast they load. Here's Omega Race. If you can see me setting it on the reader there. This is loading and running the game just that fast. Actually programming a card is pretty easy as well. I'm going to go back to the main menu here. You can use a cell phone to program it, but that's kind of a manual method. You can do it right from your 64 itself. So first of all, you use the menu to navigate to what you want to make the card launch. Let's do one for synth card. When you find that, you hit the left arrow button to bring up the programmer. It'll prompt you through the rest. It tells me to put a card on the on the reader. Hit return. That's done. And now we have a card. So take that card, launch it, and there's synth card. Okay, this is exciting. Just a couple weeks ago, Will Pereira, also known as Hex, released his first full version of the TeensyROM UI. It's been in development and testing for, I think, over a year now. So a lot of work has gone into it, and it shows. It's an amazing little thing. So with that, you can remote control your TeensyROM and C64. You can transfer files to it, do searches, flag your favorites, turn your C64 into a retro jukebox, and it incorporates metadata from the sources shown here, so you get a lot more than just the file name when you're looking around for stuff. Instead of trying to demo it or come up with this myself, we'll put together an excellent demo video that we're going to show part of here. I highly encourage you to go check out the whole thing. The URL is shown below. Enjoy. Amazing job there, Will. Well done. In addition to the UI, which is for Windows platforms, Will's also in development of a command line interface, which is cross-platform capable and has a lot of the same features. So check them both out at the links shown there. MIDI and ACID. Suffices to say there's many musical-related capabilities in the TeensyROM. It's been very popular among SID composers and fans alike. So much so that we had to spin it off into its own segment, so please stay tuned to Bitscape, for we'll get deep into demonstrations of different experiments people have done with the TeensyROM in creating music. Stay tuned. Let's take a look at the Ethernet interface on the TeensyROM. It simulates a SwiftLink cartridge, which is pretty common out there at 38.4K communication speeds. So you can use it with any standard terminal software such as CCGMS, StrikeTerm, or DesTerm. There's a custom AT command set in case you need to customize the Ethernet interface and use something other than DHCP, like a custom IP address. A lot of people use it for a Telnet BBS style connection, such as our friends at Oasis BBS or 8-Bit Playground. If there's a problem with getting an Ethernet hard connection to your TeensyROM, it is compatible with Ethernet to Wi-Fi bridges, such as this one from Vonnets that we particularly like, because it has a USB power connection that you can plug right into the TeensyROM as well and get power from there all in one. Let's take a look at a couple examples here, and I like to use CCGMS since it's built right in. The custom command set is right here. There's a lot of them, but don't normally need many or any of them. Let's connect to Retro Campus, which is a cool new BBS out there. Port 6510 comes right up. Let's look at the news here real quick. How about BBC and UK? So browse through the news, get the general idea there. exit out of here. And let's move on to the web browser capability. So at browse, another custom at command. There's a set of bookmarks that are built in by default. You can use those or create your own, and it will stay persistent when you turn off power. The first one here is my tiny website, which has a bunch of games and other files, as well as TeensyROM firmware upgrades. Anything you download off of a website will be stored directly on a path of your choosing on the USB or SD card. You might have noticed the Petsky text up there, which isn't normally renderable through HTML, but I created a custom HTML tag just for Petsky code, so you can do some nifty little graphic type of stuff there. Let's also look at the search engine. So the S command does a search through FrogFind, which is a text-based web search engine. Let's look for Rush, some of our favorite band. About Wikipedia's info on Rush. Let's get down to the meat. There's more than you could ever want to know about Rush. Alrighty. Well, we'll start to wrap things up here. There's a few more available commands I wanted to mention. Recently added some more custom basic commands to augment the existing basic language. These allow you to load from and save to the SD or USB card from basic, as well as write or read the serial USB connection to make your C64 able to display data from a master computer, for example, or collect data and upload that. Auto launch capability was recently added to allow headless or monitorless operations, so you know exactly what it's going to boot into, as well as useful for test and diag suites. There are several programs that come with it, such as the dead test, etc., that you can set up your TeensyROM to just be a standalone dead test card that you can plug into a system under test and know that the diags will immediately run. Firmware updates are as easy as taking the released hex file and plopping it onto an SD or a USB drive and launching that from the menu. You can set the system time in the C64 from the internet over the Ethernet connection, and then cross-assembling or SID development is made much easier. Will touched in this with the TeensyROM UI. You can actually load and launch software on a real C64 faster than you can through Vice, believe it or not. In the future, there's lots of directions to go here. I always have a hard time deciding what to work on next. The USB host port offers a lot of options, such as Bluetooth devices, printer, keyboard, or a mouse plugged into there. Additional file types, there's lots I'd like to support in the future. Text file or direct JPEG viewer. The SID player could use some improvement around length tracking or sequential play. ACID is lots of room there to do things like visualizations of data, the music that's playing. Someone posted recently a request to do Apple or RTP MIDI as well as the standard ACID MIDI interface. Lots of other Ethernet potential, such as RNet and C64 NEC Plus. Retro Achievements has contacted me about a method to capture high score data without allowing for cheats. The basic command set is just getting started. There's lots of potential growth there as well. So lots of directions to go here. Certainly not the end of development for the TeensyROM. If you're interested in more information on the TeensyROM or would prefer to purchase one already built and tested, there's some links on the left here. These people are the ones that made this all possible. I'm just a conduit to help bring it to the masses, but without them, this project wouldn't have happened. So thank you all so much. I can't express my gratitude enough. Thanks again to Jim Drew and Sajtron for having me today. Be sure to stay tuned for Bitscape, where we'll get deep into the music-related features of the TeensyROM. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.